What's up, everybody? It's your girl Dory, and of course we got Corey. What is you over there doing?
Though?
He's weird. I don't know what he's doing. What you doing?
Come on.
All right, so we are gonna cut my phone down because who wants to be ring-a-ding-dinging, during the podcast. So we actually decided that we were going to go live while we do episode 2.
102.
Season 1, episode 2 of Black Love. So yeah, get into it. We're going to kick this all open. You know the drill.
So this is Black Love.
All right.
Open forum discussion on everything Black and everything love. Believe, live, acknowledge, know. I live victorious over everything. We are your hosts, Corey and Dory.
Hey. And this is episode 2. You want to kick the intro?
What?
You want to kick the intro?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. It's the old one,
but we in there.
Formality.
Black love.
Black love. Black love.
Black
Black love.
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 Black love. Black love. Black love. Black love. Baby.
I love that. I love our intro. I love our people. They're so dope. We had had the idea and we text everybody randomly one day, can you send us a voice memo saying Black Love? They were like, what? We were like, just trust us. And they did. So yeah, I just like it. And then the funny thing is that Nailani is the very last one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably my favorite thing. And it's funny, she hears anything that sounds like black or love, she literally just runs around the house screaming, Black love, Black love, Black love. But all right, we here with episode 2.
Legacy.
Yes.
Wow, Black.
Yes. I'm so geek for this. I am very geek for this. Or for the whole podcast, but really for this series.
This Wild Black series is going to be off the chain. Later on in these season, we are definitely going to have some special guests, hopefully some familiar faces to you guys. If you live in the Dayton area or surrounding areas, you might know some of these faces. If you're in LA or New York, you might know some of these faces. Hint.
Just saying.
But before we get too far into it, I do want to give a shout out to the space that we're in, Genuine Works.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a professional, entrepreneur, creative, looking for personal or business space, if you're looking for a safe, cultivating space that works the way you do, especially in transition on remote work to in person, we have a blooming business. There's a central space to manage everything. And that space is Genuine Works.
Yes.
It's a co-working lifestyle located in downtown Dayton. And let me tell you, this space is amazing.
It really is.
Not only do they have this space for a collaborative workspace for creatives and entrepreneurs and business people in general, but they also are impacting on the city as far as having local artists. If you walk into this space, there's artwork all on the walls from local artists from the Dayton area. Hopefully I'll be on the walls one day.
Mama, we made it.
Right. But no lie, if you're in the Dayton area, downtown Dayton, and you're looking for a space to work, to do creative work or entrepreneur work, and you're looking for a business space, this is the spot. Genuine Works. Look them up on Facebook.
I'm over here echoing. That's what's up. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait till we really get in here and you can kind of see everything. So baby steps.
Baby steps.
All right, so let's get into
legacy
topic. I'm gonna let you go into it.
Where do we begin?
I don't
That's the
know.
fact.
Let's talk about the quote first, maybe. That's a good
Oh
place to
yeah,
start.
there's a quote on the post, I believe, on the live post. So I guess we'll put it up when we edit the video.
Yeah, we can put it up.
Let me get
I
back
wasn't
to
thinking
it.
I could have done like a little banner
You
thing.
could have. You
Was
could
not
have.
thinking.
You could do it right now if you really about it. I'm just saying. But while she's doing that, the quote is from old Greek, one of those old Greek scholars, Pericles, and it says, "What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others."
Hey.
And I think the interesting thing about like this topic, legacy, is that a lot of times when we talk about legacy, we are thinking about like our children, inheritance, passing down money, assets, and things like that. But I believe legacy is a lot deeper than that. And this quote says it all.
Mm-hmm.
Legacy is about the impact. I like to use impact because that's our family mission is to impact the lives of others.
Yeah, shout out to the mission.
Shout out to the mission. So legacy is more than inheritance and leaving a trust or assets, property. I went off camera. It's about actually impacting lives and making an impact on the world as a whole. And when I say that, I don't mean it like an arrogant impact. There's lots of people that you remember their names, but their legacy doesn't really mean a lot. Like, right. I feel like there's like people that are really popular, but their legacy died with them. When we're talking about legacy, I'm talking about those that impacted and shifted the culture. Your Martin Luther Kings, your Malcolms, your Huey Newtons, your
Nelson Mandela.
Your why did his name just leave me?
You can even say, would you say like Prince?
Prince, yeah. Cause Michael Jackson, like it wasn't just their music, it was what their music stands for. So that's what I think about when I think about legacy. What about you? What about you? What about you?
It's weird because I was trying to sit here and think about, I don't know, like I guess the when legacy became prominent to me, because I don't think I necessarily grew up thinking about legacy. If that makes sense. It's probably been honestly within the last year that like even the term legacy has kind of like been a thing that I'm like, okay, let me take a second, look at this. Let me kind of be aware, maybe. I don't know. But I have to say, before, legacy, I did think was just that when I leave here, I need to make sure that my kids is straight.
And don't get me wrong, you gotta make sure your kids are straight.
That's like been one of my biggest things. It's just like that aspect of it, of just making sure like that they're good. Like but then like when we really started getting strong with the kids about like their affirmations and just different things like that.
Just what life means in general.
That part. And then I realized that legacy is more than that. Like right now for me, legacy means that when I leave here, not only do they have a leg up into the world, but that they understand how to leave their mark in the world. But right. I do that through living my life, if that makes sense. I'm trying to move away from preaching at them so much.
Right. Because it's all in the action. I mean,
that they see something, or see or that what I'm doing and what I'm saying matches.
Right.
Not that I'm saying do something and my actions is doing something different.
Right.
So yeah. So that's where I'm kind of at with the whole legacy thing.
So, what is your legacy?
It's still being written. I think that,
or what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh,
maybe I should change wording.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, at this point, okay, I remember the first time I heard this, and it's kind of like a little quote or whatever. But I was at my I was at my meeting or something, and somebody read like this little poem or whatever. Oh no, I don't even remember if it was an exercise or a poem. I can't remember, but it's basically like a thing of like, okay, close your eyes. Think about right now if like everything ended for you, like you died or whatever. I know it sounds morbid, but if you die right now, close your eyes, and if you're at your funeral, you have everyone's in the room. Like, what are they going to say?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are they going to say about you? And like for me, honestly, I was sitting there going, I don't think I gave a lot of people a lot to say.
Right.
And it was, and at first I kind of thought that was in works, but now I just realized that like it needs to be so much more. Like there's so much going on in the world, so much that I guess if it has to come down to my legacy, I want it to, for one, be effective, and I wanted to have produced some type of change. And I'm getting to a point where even if it's not
change where
massive, in the trajectory of the lives of others, like if one person mindset, life is different, put them on a different path, make them see something different, think something different. That's cool. Like that's really cool. And I think for me, I guess I'm a little passionate about that because I feel like that was me, like not really having a direction on what passion is, what's dreams, what's goals, what do I want out of my life? Like, I don't think I really had that. Like I had desires growing up, you know what I'm saying? But like to really have someone help me map out goals and show me how to accomplish them and think something different out of what you see every single day.
Right.
Knowing that it can be different if you change and do different things. Like I didn't have that. Like it wasn't until I'm 28, 29 years old, something that it really kind of clicked for me. Like, hey, you know what I mean? It can be different.
So when I think about as I've been thinking about legacy, because it's something that actually, like you, I didn't really think about a lot. Like I've always thought about what position I was going to put my children in when I left. I always thought about things like that, but I never thought about like what my that song Legacy on 444 by Jay-Z. When I was thinking about that, sorry, I got distracted. When I listened to that song for the first time, it kind of sparked something to look at legacy in the sense of what he was talking about, but really in the sense of something deeper. And that's when I realized that legacy was more than what we were supposed to leave our kids. So I think when I think how you said when you had that exercise, that's what sparked it for you, and it was about what people were going to say when you were gone. I think that I want my legacy not to be what people say about me per se, but what feeling I left on this earth. Yeah. You gotta come in frame, baby.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Getting comfortable. You gotta come in frame.
My bad.
But I want my legacy to be a feeling. I want people to feel humanity when they think about what my life meant, or even not even my life. If anybody that was touched by me moves in humanity, in love, in identity, even if it doesn't have anything to do with my name,
that's true.
That's the feeling that I want to spark. That's the feeling that I want to pass on to my kids, through anybody that I come in contact with, anybody's lives that I have a direct effect with and indirect. I want them to feel humanity. I want them to feel love. I want them to feel identity. I want people to know who they are and be comfortable in who they are.
So that's kind of been my thing. And even in that too, like, I guess when I say like, what are they going to say? Like,
I wasn't coming at you.
No, I know. I was just saying, like, because it's a lot, but I think people forget about that part of how people feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like we get so caught up in trying to do that sometimes in the doing you can make a person feel like nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't saying nothing. But it's just in that whole, thing.
Have you ever been around a person that's like a sweet person, but their presence makes you feel inferior?
Yeah.
Like it's like they don't have no ill intent, but just them being present, it's like I feel small. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to be to the level of impact of that person, but still have people feel comfortable in who they are around me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But I feel like most of my 20s was
That's why I don't like fame.
Really?
That's why I don't like fame and I don't want fame. Because I don't want people to look at me like that's it. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want success. You can have the fame.
That's true. I used to grow up thinking I wanted fame, but I don't know I don't think I knew what it came with.
Because it looks good.
Because it looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very fun. But I know for me, like I like my privacy and just different things like that. And I think that's one of the biggest things, like when you start talking about maturity, like you have to bring maturity involved in it because, we live in a time in a day where like things are so materialistic that it can easily just go that way. Oh, right. Legacy, materialistic, but then there's so much more spiritual aspect. And you touched on something, at least for me. Hey, boo. That's dear to my heart, and it's identity. And right. I mean, I know a lot of people, their 20s is definitely like you're finding what your identity is.
What's crazy is that in my 20s, I felt like that's what was happening, but I don't think that's what happened at all. I think in my 30s
I'm finding it really
is where I'm finding who I am.
I thank God though for my 20s because my 20s was like, if it was like a paper on what not to do, right. Or like how not to be yielded. Like my 20s was every bit of me trying to like be this person for other people, right. And never not once even think about like who I was, like right. At all. So then like towards the end of the 20s, it was like the deprogramming detox of that. And now I'm in my 30s and I'm like, it's funny. It's like when we laugh at Levi, like, so our son has he's like tall and he's like learning his feet and his legs. But like the other day he was running and we were like, okay, he's feeling his legs. Like that's what my 30s feel like. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm getting it. Like I'm feeling my legs, but I'm still like learning what it is. And that's what this podcast is too. Like it's kind of like a journey of us kind of coming, I guess, into that, would you say knowledge, fulfillment, whatever it is, like, and just talking it out for real.
I mean, it's really what Black love is about. Believe, live, acknowledge, know. It's about coming into that belief of oneself, living the life that you're supposed to the fullest, really.
Yeah.
Living a life of fulfillment.
Yeah. Acknowledging
who you are and knowing who you are. I mean, Black love goes into so many different realms because it's all, you can put Black in front of anything and it'll show you
where you are, and it'll show you who you are.
And then you wrap all of that into living victorious over everything. Doesn't mean that you have it all together. Doesn't mean that you're perfect in this moment, but it does mean that you're perfecting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that's it. Like I was thinking the other day, and like I think I was just thinking of like if it was like one word that can describe just like me and where I'm at, and it's literally becoming like straight jacket, Michelle. But that's so good because it's a becoming. But life is becoming though. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever get to a place where you feel like you've arrived, then
we'll say a wise man knows that he knows nothing at all.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I thought I did.
Mm-hmm. That's what 20s is all about. Your 20s, you think you know everything. You got it all together. Can't nobody tell you nothing. That 30 will humble you real quick. You be like, hold on. I still got a whole bunch of life to live. You feel me? Like,
for real. Like, I really thought I did.
Right.
Like, I really thought I did. But now in this era, I'm like, oh yeah, you got a lot to learn.
Right.
A lot of living, a lot of bumping your head to get it right. And I still, like, I'm working to, like, not, because you know me, I'm really hard on myself. I get flustered quick because I'm hard on myself, because I'm like, if I ain't get it right the first time, then throw it all away. Like, just throw my whole life away.
Right.
It be that serious to me. But learning too, the like kind of, okay, are you on the 10 because you're really upset about it not working, or are you on 10 because you're like, you're taking on other people's perceptions that first of all hasn't even been said or mentioned to you yet, right, but you're just
really embracing,
you know what I'm saying,
losses.
Yeah.
Or lessons, because a loss is not a loss, it's a lesson. Appreciate the pain, it's a blessing. Jay-Z. But for real though, like embracing the losses, because that's true legacy. When people, at least for me, like my humanity, who I am, being human is what I want my legacy to be. And showing that even in being human, even in making those mistakes, even in taking those L's, that you can bounce back and you can still be successful. You can still be on a playing field. Like there's no time frame. There's no, I'm walking in a totally different path that I did when I was going into my 20s, when I was in my teenage. I went to school for theater. Like I just knew, not to say that it can't happen either, because I love acting.
I went to school for a lot of
I'm
things.
pretty good at it. You feel me? Like, yeah, I'm pretty good at it. So that's not even to say that I can't, but like, I don't see myself on Broadway right now. I'm in a totally different playing field as far as career, as far as entrepreneurship, as far as being a creative. Like I never thought that I would pick up a camera and fall in love with it. I love photography right now. Like, and I couldn't imagine not doing it. But that's the same feeling I had about theater when I was in my teenage years, going into my 20s. And I just knew that was what I wanted to do. And I still do want to do it. But that passion and that desire, even though I love it, it's not something I can see myself doing every day. And it's not as fulfilling to me as what I'm doing right now and what I want to do.
I think that's an important thing to say, because I think sometimes we think that what we want is what we want. And it's funny because, what did you say? You said something. I can't think of what you said. You said something. I should have wrote it down.
Just a second ago?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember what the heck you said. I was going to say, I don't remember.
It'll come to you.
Darn it. So, okay, I'm just going to say this because I forgot what I was going to say. But, so like that thing of like when you walk into something and you feel like this is going to be it. Like this is my forever. Like I'm going to do this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And then you get in and you go, I kind of like it, but I don't love it. Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I feel like I've been that way all over my life, but just learning how to like, just do what works for you. But there was something that I wanted to mention. It's kind of like changing the subject just a little bit, but it's just flipping. So I think it's in The Alchemist. Mm-hmm. Isn't in The Alchemist the quote? Well, he's telling the story of is it the Centurion man?
Probably.
I think it is. That is like, when you say legacy for me, like that is what my mind goes to, is literally that story. And basically in The Alchemist, which if you haven't, let me tell y'all something. If you have not read The Alchemist, look, I'm going to need you to go read it, get on Audible. Matter of fact, when I leave here, I'm about to start it up. Like, it is a beautiful story and it's so dope. Like, I love to listen to stories.
It's like self-help, but it's not self-help. It's
no.
like in the story form.
No, it's so beautiful. I love books that I can listen to it 50 times in a row, and each time I'm getting something different out of it because it speaks to you in a different way on a different level.
Right.
Which is kind of like what legacy is to me a little bit. But it's this part in there where he's telling the story of the centurion man, which is in the Bible, by the way. And this, if you don't know, like the centurion man is the man who came to Jesus and basically was like, "Can you heal my servant?" And Jesus was like, "Yeah, I got you. Let's go." And he was like, "No, like, you the man by yourself. Like, I understand how authority works. I understand how this goes. Like, if you just say the word, I know that it's going to happen." And then Jesus is all like, "Oh, your faith, your faith." Well, in the book, he's like telling the story of how it comes, but it's not focused on the centurion.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, the part that I like. It's focused on the father.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, he talks about how the father has two sons.
Right.
And one son is this poet who's making all of this money. And I guess like the people in the town where he's at, like they know him, and his father, like looking at that son, like that son gonna do so much. Like he gonna be remembered forever. Like he's so famous and everybody reads his poems and he's making so much money. And like this father was just so proud of his son. And it never mentioned that he wasn't proud of the other son. He was just looking at what that son was doing at the time. Meanwhile, the other son, who was in basically the military,
right,
and this is the same soldier who encounters Jesus, right?
Right.
And the whole gist of it was that, you know, like your legacy and basically your perspective on things. Like, don't be so quick to go to the thing that looks the shiniest, because you were so bent on this son who was making the poems and was famous. But you had one son who had a whole encounter, and his encounter was from the purest form for someone else.
Right.
And because of that, his legacy will be remembered throughout the ages.
Right.
Because of one act.
Right.
And it's just like, when I think of like legacy, I remember that story.
Right.
Because you would think it was the other son who had like all the poems and the music.
Known, renowned.
Yeah, renowned. And it was like,
all the titles.
All the things.
Yeah, famous
all
writer.
the check marks. Check. But no, it was the centurion who was where he was supposed to be, which you don't even get me started on that. But was where he was supposed to be. Dang it. You can't get away from it. What, are you laughing at me?
Yeah.
Because you can't get away from it.
What's it?
You can't get away from being who you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Because that's what legacy is.
Right.
Like, you can't
being
get
in
legacy.
The proper place.
Yeah.
Being in alignment is what really legacy is all about.
Dang it.
Being in alignment to affect the next generation the way that they're supposed to be affected.
And you can't be concerned about all the...
It don't matter if you reach 1,000 people if it doesn't pass on to the next generation. And if the next generation is not uplifted, empowered, advanced in some sort of way. Yeah. Even on the smallest level.
Yeah.
Like, some people's legacy is not meant to be worldwide.
That part.
Some
and I think that
legacy,
has to, I don't want to say normalized, but I feel like that has to be said, because I feel like, you know, with this day and age of social media and Facebook, like, I ain't gonna front. It's hard to like be on something live right now talking, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, doing and spilling your love or what you do, and you looking at 0 people watching. One people, like, this is the time that we live in, that where it's supposedly be the more people who watch, the more numbers you get, the more clicks, that values your success.
And that's why it can't be about the numbers, the money, the success, the fame. It can't be about that. Because if you if you operate in the true gift that God has given you, I am satisfied with reaching one person.
That's it.
I'm totally satisfied.
But
I know that I'm going to reach more just because of who I am and the genuineness that I am.
Right.
Just by the little people that I encounter. I don't even know a lot of people. But the people that I know, what's that 7 degrees of separation? or something
That thing
like
is
that.
real, by the way.
It's real.
It's
I
real,
don't want to
real.
go into how I know lately how it's real, but it's real.
Oh, I don't know what that. I don't know.
Yeah,
that
we'll
is
talk
like.
about that a little later. But
Okay, but I mean, for my work, like my work with which is I don't do Mary Kay. I'm a Mary Kay consultant, and we work out of referrals. And every single person who like even considers joining or anything, that's the first question they have. How am I gonna reach all these people? And it's so funny because we tell them we just start with the people who are closest to you.
And if you think about that law, the 7 degrees of separation, like the way, if you don't know what 7 degrees of separation is, it's basically when anybody in the world, or I don't know if it's in the world or what, but
I don't really know that specific.
Anybody that has anything to do with anything, yourself and that person are connected by less than 7 people.
It's real. Get on Facebook and look at your suggestions. And then look at your mutual friends. There be people I ain't never seen, and it be like 4 mutual friends, and you click it, you be like, I hang with her every day. I didn't even know she knew you. Like, how did I not even know you existed in her world? Like,
I have a friend that I went to college with who is he's from France. And like,
shout out to France, because we got listeners in France. We international.
We
I just
do
had to
though.
boast for a second. That was a whole boast moment.
But like, there's people in France that we have like 3 or 4 mutual friends. Like, how?
That's crazy.
And it's people like some of those people, like 2 out of the 4 of those mutual friends I actually know and have contact with, like have had contact with.
That's crazy. But it's not at the same time because it's a small world.
So if you think about that in the frame of legacy, in the frame of impact, like
dang,
just moving around in your small little city or your big little city or whatever it may be, the person that you can impact could impact somebody in Africa, can impact somebody in Asia, can impact somebody in Australia. Like that. That's real. How real. Like that's what it is. Like,
and it just goes to show. Like, even I'll be real. Like, half the time, I really don't think people be paying attention.
Right.
Like, because you just feel like it's so much going on in this world, so big, so many people, so many things. You'd be surprised of like how many people literally be watching you, whether they say it or not.
Right. Whether they interact
with you or not. Like, people are watching, and that's something to be said. So legacy is so much more. And then get into this part of it, that legacy is not also about what you're going to receive in this part, but what will be received later. So like everything we're doing now, yeah, we could be sowing the seeds for it now, so we may not get it in our lifetime. But what about our grandkids? Like, our grandkids can be reaping from what we basically sow right now.
Just think about the first person that came up with the idea of the telephone.
Right.
Like, they never thought that we would be interacting with these
that
and
would
being
be
able
life.
to actually get on the internet. The internet wasn't even created when the first phone was out. Like,
it's hard to believe that the
legacy.
Internet was even created during our lifetime.
Right.
Like that.
Right. Facts. Like, we were a whole
10
years old.
I was going to say it feels like a whole lifetime, but like I was definitely not 5 with internet.
Right.
Like my 5 years old.
That's
like,
crazy.
No, I was definitely
and to think
with
that
a
my
whole...
children were born into internet.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
But
the
first phone, y'all. This is legacy from the first phone.
Basically.
This is somebody's legacy right here.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. I just think, okay, so I want to ask this question. How do you think legacy plays in the Black community?
Right, because we're talking about legacy while Black. I think that, okay. Let me think about this for a second. Because so much of our legacy has been stripped from us as a people.
Yeah.
What's that one exercise that they do? Try to live without without anything created by a Black person, it's a hard thing to do. Like,
yeah. Shout out to shoot, his name just slipped my head that quick. Who did that?
I don't know if we're thinking about the same person, because the thing that came to my mind was Killer Mike.
Yes, Killer Mike.
He did. It was more of a.
It's a long.
No,
thing.
it was about the Black economy, and it was about living without something that
a Black person
direct to the Black dollar. No, the Black dollar.
Same different.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. The legacy that we have put on this earth, not America alone, because we wouldn't be here without the backs of our ancestors. But America alone, the legacy that we have created here as a people that other cultures have benefited from. But right now, living a week only investing in the Black dollar is near impossible to do. Yeah. Because of the legacy that's been stripped from us. Can't really well, you can't. You have to find a bike that was that's sold by Black people in like your direct. I don't know any Black companies that sell Black bikes right here in Dayton. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would love to know if there are. Right. But vehicles, transportation, Black dollar is not there. Mm. Like skin and healthcare is growing right now, but it's very slim. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like the amount of impact that we've put in America alone, and the fact that you can't really stretch the Black dollar more than a week. That's crazy. Think about groceries. No Black-owned grocery stores. I mean, shouts out to some of our friends who are making an impact in the city of Dayton, because what's it called? Gym City Grocery. Yeah, Gym City Market is coming. I think it's already open. Yeah. So shouts out to them. But like before that, there's no Black grocery stores. Like, you know what I'm saying? Besides like the mom and pop, corner stores, but even half of them is other cultures that's in our communities that are benefiting from the Black bodies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the part for me. So, and it's no shade to them, because hell, they just trying to get it how they live too. And mm-hmm. I will be 100% honest. So don't everybody come shooting at me. But I wasn't even really, well, let me not say I wasn't aware. I wasn't empathetic when the whole Stop Asian hate came. And it wasn't towards the hate, but I wasn't empathetic to understand maybe their cause or position. Because the way I looked at it was like, y'all set up shop in our neighborhoods all day and make money and still treat us like shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or treat or move out to the suburbs, come take our money, and then won't even hire nobody that looks like us in there. Mm-hmm. And then you follow us around and treat us like everyone else. But we literally mm-hmm. make y'all money, like, like every other race there is like that. But I didn't I kind of did some research and got myself fact checked. Mm-hmm. But just understanding the systematic strategicness of that too, mm-hmm. of placing two minorities into an opposition and saying this is the model citizen, this is not the model citizen. Be more like them, and then we're gonna give you a little bit more just so you can kind of hang it over their head, so it's very distinct mm-hmm. that we favor you more, mm-hmm. and then you know what I'm saying. Right. Hostility is there. I mean, if you think about any other culture that's been oppressed, the Jewish, the Asians, the Italians, the Mexicans. Yeah. They have still been able to have economic equity in America, whereas Blacks have been underrepresented in that front. Right. As far as being able to create legacy, being able to build something that can speak for generations after, like that has been stripped from us from the moment that we were released from slavery. Like, even the impact that we created post-slavery, which was huge, right. was stripped the moment they saw momentum. Yeah, and that's just the case. Like, and it's crazy. And even when you get into it,
because I want to talk a little bit about just the legacy of the generations and what they see and what's presented to them.
Mm-hmm.
Even in TV, entertainment, like all of that matters.
Just think about the monumental things that have happened. I was just watching a video when Halle Berry in the 90s won the first Oscar as a Black woman. Was it an Oscar? Yeah, it was an Oscar.
I think so.
Like,
was it leading though? It was a leading role.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it was for Monster Ball.
Hold on, I gotta get her name.
But like to think about the what word do I want to use? Because I don't want to downplay who they are. The titans that came before her: Cicely Tyson, Angela Bassett, Felicia Rashad. Like, to think about these women that were all working the craft, paving the way for her. Like, watching that video of her winning that Oscar, like, you couldn't help but to.
I wanted to say Hattie. Hattie McDaniel was the first, but it was supporting role as Mammy.
Right. But to think about like all these monumental things that have happened, the first Black president, the first woman to win a leading role, getting an Oscar, like we have first and Grant. We still have yet to have some first.
Yeah.
We got Cardi B breaking records for being the first Black female to do such and such and such and such. I don't remember what the accolade was.
She done a few little things.
But like to think about all the firsts that are just now happening in our generation.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because you would think, well, just the fact that we're still fighting and talking about things here in literally 2021. Like, we're still having to talk about
like, just think about the videos,
hatred and systematic racism and policing. Like,
but just look at the movies that we've seen back in like the 90s about what they thought 2020 was going to look like.
Oh my God!
And think about the stuff that we're still going through right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, it's a ways. It's come a ways, like, you know, but it's still very much prominent. So. And my thing is just, so we were watching or listening and watching, what was it, Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Joy DeGruy and her daughter, Bahia.
Yeah.
And it was really good. It was talking about like entertainment and what is being presented in entertainment and how it affects the youth, the generation, and just different things like that. And they were just they were talking about a lot of deep stuff. But in particular, they were talking about how the effects of what generations see about themselves,
right,
and how it really matters, and
good
how
or bad.
Yeah, good or bad. And it was just really, really interesting because it went from that topic to all the way until I think someone had asked a question about even how do you get this new generation to even want to know anything about what has happened in the past or history. And she had a really great answer for that. And it was to first get to know them.
Right.
First get to know them. And then when you get to know them and have them get to know who they are. And she said doing like simple, background trees, not like going all deep into ancestry.com, but just simple things of like, this is my grandmother, this is my grandfather, this is this grandmother, this grandfather, these are the aunties, these are the kids, they came from Georgia, they did and you can go as far back as you want to. But then once you kind of get that, then you can start asking questions.
Right. And
most of the time when a person has some type of understanding of who they are first, then they want to know more about other things. But it's interesting coming from a culture from us because we have a fracture,
right?
You know what I'm saying, of who we are. And what a lot of people, and the sad thing is not only, oh, Lord, it says the Mac thingy. And not only do we have a fraction of what's presented for like us or whatever, but other people look at us and that's all that they know of us is basically what's presented and said and all of those different things too. So I just think it's important that that legacy is viewed all around, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just I don't want to say one man show or whatever, but it's just all of the things.
Right.
Did it come on? Sorry, our thingy is acting weird. Is it not?
See if this charges. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties.
Nope. Not on.
So, how do we proceed with legacy in the Black community? Or where do you think we're at with it?
I want to say I think we're moving in a good direction. I think with the coming generations, I don't know. And sometimes I'm like, well, when I hear comments about the youth, I'm like, well, maybe I just hang around the right people, because most of the times I'm kind of in a place where I'm like, I don't feel like we're that hopeless. Like how I kind of hear other people talk about like the youth and generation. I'm like, maybe y'all just not out here with them.
This next generation, at least the people that I see and the people that I'm raising, they're on a whole different level. Like we've had to, up until this point, it feels like we've been playing catch up, right?
Yeah.
But we're at the point in the legacy in the Black community where the legacy is showing from the strength of our ancestors.
Yeah.
And
it's that second win.
Yeah.
It's like that second win.
It's like you can only put us down for so long before we come back and win for real. And that's what I see is winning. When I talk about this legacy that's being shown now, all these firsts that Black people are accomplishing, it's like I seen this little video of these people running track, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like these white people, they was running, and then you seen the Black person, they was behind, and then it was like their legs wasn't even moving as fast, but they was like gaining, legs moving slower than the people in front of them. Like white people, those who assume themselves to be white, boom, 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 they bam, 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 and like caught up and passed and won. I feel like that's what's happening right now in this generation. Yeah. I feel like that's what's happening with the legacy that we are building as a people right now.
Yeah.
Legacy. Legacy.
For real. I mean, at the end of the day, we dope. We've always been dope. You leave it to me, I'm like, that's just the name of the game. We dope. We always been dope. We've been the movers of culture.
Facts.
Itself.
Like when you talk about culture, you're talking about Black people. In America, if you say culture, you're talking about Black people.
Well, you can't. I mean, I feel like you can't even really.
We push the culture. We are the culture. We
like the standard.
Yeah.
We don't get the credit or what it
in fashion and music, whatever genre you listen to, it's affected by the Black culture. It really is. Like because in some way or fashion, it was built from what we created. Yep. Whether it be the blues, whether it be soul. What just happened?
I did that. That was me.
But yeah, like that's what I feel like where we are with legacy right now.
Yeah. And I just think it's dope to mention like being and I think it's dope to mention this before we get into some of the other topics. Just kind of like, you know.
Because I want it to be understood, like, even though like the series is talking about such and such while Black, we talked about what was the first episode? Trauma while Black, legacy while Black. We are not by any means talking about the negatives or hanging on the negatives of what we are as a culture. Like most of this episode has been uplifting, but I want it to be understood, like when we come for this, we're not coming for the negatives. Like we're embracing the whole of what being Black is. And being Black is
you got to take the negative too.
Believing, living, achieving, knowing yourself, your culture, your past, humanity, and it's living victorious over everything. Yeah, because that's what we've been doing as a Black culture. Whatever's been thrown our way, we have been triumphing. We have been living victoriously over it. That's right. So not to hang on it as just being a Black thing, but because Black love is for everybody.
It really is. That's why it's spelled the way it's spelled.
Yeah. So.
But legacy, if I have to break it down, let's be cheesy and break it down with BLAK. So legacy, believe what you're going to believe, but believe it to the fullest. Don't falter on it. Stand on it. Live. Same goes right with leave. Don't falter on what you believe, but live your life to the highest standard of what you do believe, and let your life be the example and what that belief is. Acknowledge the humanity, not only within your world but within the whole world. One of the things I feel like
the humanity, HUE,
humanity of everything around you. One of the things I feel like we are a downfall kind of America is we are so enclosed into who we are,
and we really shouldn't be because of the melting pot that America is.
Yeah.
But
I feel like there's a lot of ignorance to what goes on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest song to like help me when it comes to humanity and understanding this is a song by Andy Mineo. It's called Uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Listen to that. It's a whole part, like, not to quote it, but it's really deep. It says, we have legal weed that'll keep you high. Round the world, other people die. Where on earth is my Wi-Fi? My stomach's full, but my pockets fat. I need love. There's a site for that. I had more when I had less. I think I got too comfortable. And it's just like, when I hear that song, like, I'll be in such a zone, like, oh my gosh, like, we have
even
so
the other
much.
part of it. If you want to live a comfortable life, make sure you never love nobody, be selfish, and never sacrifice.
Bars. Shout out Andy Mineo, dude.
Right.
But so yeah, acknowledge. You gotta acknowledge the humanity. You have to. I tell people this all the time, like when I'm in Bible study and I'm teaching and people, I tell people, you miss Jesus, and I'm a Jesus believer. I believe, do what you do. I believe Jesus. But you, even in who you, and I'm willing to argue, I don't know a lot about other religions, but I'm willing to argue that at some part this rings true, but you miss who Jesus is if you never see the humanity in him.
Right.
Because you can never see yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole part of what legacy is.
Because we have to acknowledge that Jesus came through the womb of a woman. So therefore he was human. Homo sum humani nahil ame alanium putu. I am human. Nothing human is alien to me. So even what Jesus went through should not be alien
to you.
That's why he went through it, so we can overcome what. Man. I don't want to preach. I don't want to preach. But we do got to wrap this up.
We do. Yeah. We was just off today, y'all.
At least we was charged up enough to make it through this.
Oh, we didn't do K though. No.
Okay, no. That's the most powerful, because the legacy is in the knowing. The legacy is in knowing who you come from. The legacy is knowing where you're going. The legacy is knowing how you're going to impact the next generation and walking in that truth and walking in that victory.
And the biggest part of the know is to know that it's always in the becoming. Like, it's not I gotta have it all together in this moment.
Right.
But that you know that in the moment when you need it, it's gonna be there.
And my favorite line from Simba, I know it's not no, but remember who you are.
Hey, that's it.
That's it.
Legacy.
Legacy, legacy, legacy.
Legacy, legacy. I just ain't want to hear Ken.
Right. But this has been another episode of Black Love, Legacy While Black, episode 102. We love y'all. Wish nothing but prosperity and peace.